Hola. From the west side. It is me, DCThePurpleDiva, and welcome to Not So Random Chat. Running a little bit late, but I'm here. Happy Saturday, y'all. It was a beautiful day today here in Southern California. I hope it is beautiful wherever you are. Y'all. A lot going on in the world. But my goddaughter posted something today on her Twitter. And it was about back in the day, we had what they call a schoolhouse rock. Remember those? Y'all ever hear like conjunction, junction, what's your function? That kind of stuff. Well, apparently the gentleman who did that song has passed. So he made it into the new year, but he's now gone. That was back in the day when I was a kid. I remember that. They don't have Schoolhouse Rock anymore, I don't think. I don't watch cartoons on Saturday either, though, but I don't think they show that anymore. It's something they used to have on ABC. Yeah, that's where it was. It was on the American Broadcast Company. This was back when ABC wasn't owned by Disney. I just thought that was a cool little fact to put out there today. Shouts out to my goddaughter, musical genius. And that's who does my music too. For those of y'all who often wonder who does my music, that'd be my goddaughter. But yeah, she posted that. I hope everybody's having a cool, slow down Saturday, like myself. My son is having fun with his dad tonight. But y'all know what? He video calls me. And he has I don't know what he's done on his phone. But when he gets on there, you guys, it looks like, hey, Matt. She's back boring without you, Dee. She's back boring without you. Yeah. So, you know, he calls me, and I don't know what he did to his phone, you guys, but somehow he has it set so that when people show up on his video calls, the picture's negative. You guys know, like, so it looks like a negative picture on his phone. Now, if you're on the other end of the line, if you're on the other end, you don't see all of that. But it was funny because I guess his dad was standing there and he couldn't tell that my son was looking at me. Hey, Annette, YouTube, how are you? It was funny, guys, because I think I looked weird on my son's phone. So then he got off the phone with me. And then he called me back, which is odd, because usually he doesn't even call me. Hey, Miss Pamela. Usually he doesn't even call me when he's with his dad. But he did tonight. So I got 2 calls from him earlier. But as I said, it was a beautiful day here in Southern California. We're starting to get that California weather. It was nice in the 70s. Yeah. And the sun was shining. So I did finish my hair this morning. This morning, y'all. After I got off with you guys last night, I finished most of it. But guess what? I ran out of hair because I was braiding the purple in. So I had to go get some more purple hair this morning. But it's done now. And I posted a black and white picture. That's the black and white version of me. Yeah, they came out good. I'm going to cut them, though, because they're really long right now, guys. And I don't want them that long. So I'm going to cut them. Yes, Miss Pamela, how are you doing? Are you feeling better? No pain tonight? No pain tonight, I hope. Yeah, I had to work today, guys. So I had to work around, and I finished braiding my hair, and then I worked. But I only had to work for a couple of hours, thankfully. And then I was watching, I don't even remember what the name of this movie was, but I know it was based on something that really happened. But you know how we have all those shell corporations that companies do have offshore, and then you have the legal ones in the country, like in the state of Delaware anyway. There was a movie on earlier day. Meryl Streep was in it, as a matter of fact, where it was talking about where they had all those shell companies that were down in, I guess, Panama. And it was these 2 attorneys that ran, it was some crazy amount of companies. They were bilking money out of people with insurance fraud. It just reminded me so much of when we had The Big Short, and how, people were scammed basically in a lot of fraudulent loans that happened during that time. A lot of people lost their homes from the stated. Remember when we had stated loans? It just reminded me, and this apparently was going on during the same time, because the whistleblower on this, the whistle was blown on this. It looks like during the time of 44. So yeah, it was like a bunch of shell corporations. And, they turned out to be worth like nothing in the end because, the crooks behind them moved all the money out, and the law firm, which had offices all over the world, including places like New Jersey, Wyoming, and Delaware, that have very, very liberal tax laws for the rich. Yes, definitely white collar crime. I mean, but it was just interesting watching that, because I worked in the real estate lending industry. And so, a lot of the stuff that happened in regards to the Big Short and everything was just really, what I'll tell you guys, is irresponsible lending. Greedy. People were just so greedy. And yeah. But like with this one, like with this one with these Panama shell corporations, I mean, they were taking advantage of, like little old ladies, who got bilked out of insurance settlements because the insurance companies were shell corporations. People, lost money in, real estate transactions because there was apparently some real estate company that was funneling through all of this. But yeah, with the Big Short, a lot of Black people in this country, people of color, so it was Black and brown, a lot of people, they lost homes because people refinance. Some people, here's the thing, what people don't understand is that a lot of people got homes and then they refinanced during that time, and people may have done their first loans with their full income documentation, but then they did these new loans with like no income documentation. Stated loans, you guys. And when they did the Big Short, you had people, they would have outrageous salaries for people. Like for teachers. Do you guys know any teachers that make $10,000 a month? Does anybody know a teacher in the United States that makes $10,000 a month? Yeah. That's the kind of salaries that they would put down for teachers and for special education teachers nonetheless. Hey, Miss Latoya. David is away from home this weekend. He is hanging out with his dad and his godparents and his godbrother. But yeah, they had like crazy salaries like that. And then people who like worked in, like gaming, like the dealers and waitresses and stuff, in Vegas and everything. Yeah, a lot of them were stated and stuff. Had them making lots of money. Now, granted, they made a lot of money, but they would push their monies to these crazy amounts when they were doing those loans. And then people started losing their jobs during the recession. And those loans that they got were adjustable rate mortgages. You know, they were like 5-year and 7-year fixed. Those loans started to adjust. And people's payments started going up. You know, so people who had started out with like these 2-3% loans were now suddenly at 8, 9, 10%. That's what happened. That's what happened to people doing the Big Short. And the banks didn't want to refinance or modify those loans. Hey, Terry. Oh, your mom took took the little one. Oh, you're having a break. That's good. Wow, you must have had so you've been having a good time, Miss Latoya. You've been having a good time. Did I miss AKA James? Hey, AKA James, I missed you. I missed you when you snuck in. Yeah, but this year, guys, I hear that the real estate market is going to start to cool off in certain regions of the country. Yeah. California, particularly. You know, like Northern California, Southern California. Yeah, it's going to start to cool off. As far as, you know, I mean, but you guys have to think about it. You know, even with, you know, the prices going up, the problem is they're starting to reach that point where nobody is buying because a lot of people are leaving the state of California. I think that has a lot to do with the market cooling off, too. People are really exiting this state. And you know where a lot of them are ending up? In Nevada. What's going on? People moving to the desert, Nevada. The Nevada desert. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting my real estate license. Well, I am going to get my real estate license this year. Because, you know, I'm going to get it here in California because this is like one of the hardest states to get a license in. And even though, you know, I'm not on that side of the equation, because I now work on the back end, I just think it's a good thing to have. And of course, I'll use it if I get it. You know? Yeah, but the high desert, Pam, that's where my nephew's in the high desert too. That's where my nephew is. Yeah, y'all had snow during the holidays. Yeah, well, but it's interesting that they're saying that the markets are going to cool off in California this year. And it's interesting the parts of the country that the markets are supposed to be starting to heat up. Yep. So now, what do you guys think about the situation with us not being at war, being at war with Iran? What y'all think of that? Us not being at war, being at war with Iran. You know how I said that. I said it that way for a very good reason. So like Latoya, like in Southern California, you have like the high desert part. That's like like the going up and through the grapevine and all of that stuff. And it's just the higher elevation desert, basically. And then you have the low desert would be considered like, the valley sections of the because Southern California is basically desert. So you have the higher elevations, which is like, I would say the Antelope Valley, which is a part of Los Angeles County, which is huge. Yeah. But so what do you guys think about us being at war, not being at war with Iran? What do y'all think of that? I mean, because, they can say what they want to say, but I told y'all we've been at war we have been at war for over 25 years. We have been in the Middle East for over 25 years, y'all. Yeah, he's trying to get in for another term. So everything that he's doing, you guys, is so calculated. I mean, you can't blame him for that, but why is he doing this with Iran? The United States has a very large population of Iranian Americans. There's a lot of Iranians here. Y'all. Nobody's going to forget that impeachment process. Nobody's going to forget that come this week, y'all. And it's so stupid. I think like they're going to start this stuff and then, next week, we'll be, starting the process to, ironically, have our day of peace for Dr. King. And the current president is going to be going through impeachment process. I don't know how long that's going to take, though. I given the length of time it took for it to run through the House, yeah, I mean, I'm like, why are we still effing with Iran, y'all? I mean, there's some stuff going on. I'm gonna put the link out because Terry, I know you have some stuff to say, so I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Give me a second. We're not at war, we are at war. That's the way I put it. We're not at war. We are at war, so to speak. I mean, that's the only way you can look at it. Because we haven't been in any peace times for the last 25 years, y'all. That's how many presidents? Yeah, I know what the official crap is that they said it was. Nobody's believing that crap he said. We're trying to prevent a war, is what he said. We're trying to prevent a war. How are you trying to prevent a war when we're already at war with everybody in the Middle East? We're all over there. Keep talking about you're gonna bring our people home. Everybody keeps saying that. And now you've sent what? What did he send? 10,000 more people? 10,000 more troops over there? Yeah, 5 or 6 presidents. I mean, if you think about it, because when did the first Gulf thing start? Didn't that start? The first desert thing was what? Wasn't that 89, 90? So yeah, 89. It was like around 89. So yeah, 30 years. 30 years, y'all. 30 years. That's like more than half that's more than half of my lifetime. Seriously. More than half my lifetime, my son's entire lifetime. So that means that's more than half of almost everybody's lifetime. That's crazy. Oh, yeah, no problem, Terry. No problem. I know you got to get yourself. But I'm just saying, you guys, think about that. 30 freaking years. 30 years. You know? 30 years. I mean, because realistically, when we started this stuff, this was like, I was like a few years out of college when we started this stuff. Yeah, that's when we started this stuff. And I have friends that I went over there. Man, oh, and you guys, I know I don't normally like promote channels and everything, but I'm gonna promote a friend of mine who's a really small channel. And it's her name is Felicia Lockhart. She's been in my chat before. She had a very interesting perspective on the Kanye situation. And her perspective is that what's going on with Kanye is part of this new world order that I'm going to be talking about with y'all this year. Man, I hadn't even looked at it kind of, from that perspective, because you guys know that a lot of people in the music community, specifically the gospel music community, are embracing this move. And they think that, it's great, but she questions the sincerity. I told y'all before with me that the jury was still out in regards to him, because he, as we all well know, was very deeply involved in all of that, in the Black music scene and the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And, I didn't witness a whole bunch of stuff when I was in the music scene. I'm not messing with Yeezy, as long as he don't think he's Jesus. When he starts talking about himself being Jesus again, I'm gonna be like, dude, go sit down somewhere, But I know somebody who got to work with him last month, and this is somebody who I know is a man of God, who is in the music, in the gospel music industry. And so until I talk to that person, I'm gonna hold my opinion, so to speak, on Mr. Kanye West. But I'm still giving him a little bit of side eye, because y'all know, hey, here's the thing. If my pastor endorsed this man, well, she's not going to do, y'all. Let me just tell you, I don't have that kind of pastor. I'd still probably be giving him the side eye. I'd probably then at that point be giving my pastor the side eye, But I think Kanye is searching for something. But I just think that what he's doing right now does appear to be a bit orchestrated, you guys. And there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff going on to distract. Yeah, well, I'm not anybody following that person, but I certainly, since I have not been close to this man, I'm just somebody on outside looking in. But now I know someone who did some stuff with him, and this person happens to be my son's choir director at my church, and he's the one who started really what people think Kirk Franklin started, with the kind of worldly kind of music in the gospel. No, Brent Jones started that. But yeah, Brent was did some work last month. So I'm interested to find out. I'm going to find out from him when I see him. Because that's Brent's thing. Working with choirs, yeah, that's his thing. But it's going to be very interesting. Hey, Miss Mahogany. Thank you for coming in. Yes, y'all, please smash that like button. It's going to be very interesting. That's like, like I talk about relationship with God. I don't talk religion because y'all know religion is a funny thing. Religion is a funny thing, y'all. And there's so much fakery, behind religion. So I talk relationship, and I think I'm just checking the chat. And I think that, the people that you see Kanye associating with. Some of these people are people that we think of as people who know God. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying the jury's still out. Here's Terry. 1 second. Let me let you up, Terry. Hey, Terry.
Hello.
Happy New Year.
Hey, sis. Thank you. Same to you. And Happy New Year to the chat as well.
So,
I hope
yeah.
you've been doing very well since we last spoke.
Oh, I've been doing great. The things that have happened since we've last spoke in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So one of the things I want to know, how does, like, the stuff that's going on with Iran, and then the other attack where he killed that guy last week. I wanted to get your take on those things.
Yeah. Well, I haven't heard the official story. But normally when the United States does something like that, it's been my experience that they tend to give a pretext, and that then they normally will make the claim that it was necessary for a preemptive strike, depending on what
he said it.
Pardon me?
That's the way he said it, and that's why I called it hockey pucks. It's BS.
Right. Well, yeah. Normally, it's always a plausible excuse and pretext for it. Normally, it's something more than that. For sure, the person they murdered was someone who was a threat in terms of, their ability, but America has so many armaments of war that I'm sure Iran posed no threat.
Now,
so this was a thing of going after individuals.
Here's my thing, because I know some of the stuff that's going on there is around the U.S. Embassy and basically just protecting, our people over there. You see how I'm laughing when I'm saying it, because it's a joke. It's a joke.
Right. Well, I mean, it even starts out it tends to start with a different ideology, depending on where and I'm not sure where they are in the political spectrum. I'm sure they're certainly far left of the United States. It's always been a struggle, capitalism against anything left of it, like communism, socialism, anything of that nature. Because those particular systems, if ever they had or controlled the lion's share of the world's resources, they would actually do better by the people. But the fact of the matter is, during the early portion of the 20th century, the Western Hemisphere captured much of the world's resources and used them to fuel their economies and to build. And you saw that with the colonial drive as well during the latter 19th century, early 20th century, and of course the larger participation of the United States after World War II. So it's a matter of keeping all those the influence of that geographical area, and then of course um, getting more as well. Do that through the wars. That's what an imperialist nation does, in principle. Yeah.
Well,
So
this
that's what we're seeing.
isn't Baghdad the capital
Of Arabia
because the
or of Iran, you mean?
uh-huh, is it the capital? Because they attacked Baghdad.
Right, yes, absolutely, it is. Yes.
Okay, yeah, because and that's where I think we have the U.S. embassy is in the city of Baghdad, and because of this preemptive attack, the oil prices have now gone up. They're now up to $65 a barrel for those.
Yeah, of course.
For those of you who you know, are in oil stock, your stock just went up for oil. Of course, the rest of the stock market plummeted because of this action. So all the highs that they got on the last day of the year, yeah, all the highs that came on the 31st of December went away by yesterday. Thank you, Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Trump.
I'm still doing research on what the back story is and the history in terms of this particular military maneuver and
we've been over there for
the
30
decisions
years,
that went inside.
We've been there for 30 years, Terry. We've been over there for 30
years. In that part of the world, you mean?
Yes, 30 years.
Yeah.
And we have been in an unofficial war for 30 years with our presence in the Gulf region.
Right.
Because Israel cannot.
Well, if you look at what's going on there.
I said Israel can't survive without us. So I'm just trying to figure out how what happened, what just happened this week in Iran, how that relates to Israel, because I know it has something to do with Israel. I don't care what anybody says, everything has to do with Israel when we're over there meddling with stuff.
Well, it's always centered around Israel's security. They need security. Their security is threatened. They have certain animosities toward Israel, that kind of thing. But also, Israel has been an annexationist since they took over Palestine, since they stole it from the Palestinians. And so a lot of this is how they can actually spread their sphere of influence for themselves, and then of course for their allies. And if you look at what's going on, the imperialist aggression is moving sort of due east toward China.
They don't want China. They don't want none of that. They don't want none of it.
Right. If they could control those particular countries, though, and by placing those countries in their own Western orbit, using their resources, their governments, of course, their leaders, it's possible. But it's a slow process. In the 80s, they went to Lebanon, and then they I believe they took Kuwait. So if you kind of look, they bombed Iraq, or rather invaded Iraq. So you can kind of see they have bases in So I mean, it's kind of, sort of a due east movement, but of course it's in stages, sort of piecemeal, from one administration to the next.
But and the thing is that every time we do these moves, guys, what y'all want to do is watch and see, like with this latest move. Now you need to see what is Russia going to be doing. See what they're going to be doing, and see what China is doing, because something is going to happen with those two things, and we're already in a tenuous situation with China. Now, granted, I agree grudgingly with the fact that, yeah, we shouldn't be importing all of this stuff and giving everybody all these cut rate prices and everything. I understand that business part, but the way that he's going about all of this stuff is just so underhanded. To send a message to China.
Yes, I agree.
Because they're sending a message. That's what I'm saying. Everything that they're doing is to send a message. So what we have to do is figure out, okay, who are they trying to send a message to? But based on what you're saying, that's what they're doing. They're like, he's sending a subtle message to China and to the US and to Russia.
Right. Could, obviously he'll be pursued by future administrations, but his assignment is what we're seeing at the present time. Absolutely. There's a continuity of policy that we're seeing from the United States. One of the last frontiers of conquest is that part of the world, due east of it. Because if you look at most other places, pardon me?
Like, it's never going to happen, but yeah, it's never going to happen. But yeah, okay. I'm like, the one thing I give to the Chinese is by them having that wall around them for that long period of time, they could get out, but nobody could get in.
Right.
And they have systematically, I mean, although they're paying the cost for it at this particular point in history, built up the largest military in the entire world, but they need more girls. They don't have enough girls in China.
Right.
They have a shortage of females.
Yeah. And of course their technology program rivals the United States as well. So they're well armed with information and practical knowledge in terms of national defense, which is why it's difficult.
Citizens come over here and learn everything and take it back over there. Their citizens come here and get all the knowledge here and take it back.
Well, true. They do, though. They do have a very, very their program, their homegrown program is very effective, though, as well. But yes, absolutely, they are doing that.
I'm looking at what
and then
I'm looking at what Mahogany said in the chat. She's saying that something about 45 said that if black people join the service on their own, they will guarantee not to kick black people off of food stamps, off the EBT cards. And we don't even have most of the EBT cards. I was like, and we don't even have most of them.
That's an insult to me, though.
Yeah, it is.
For somebody
I,
to actually
but
say that.
I would believe he probably would say something crazy like that. I would believe he'd say
Well, you can
something
also
crazy.
say that to the white boys.
Yeah, because they're the ones. They're the ones who are
How,
on the food stamps. It's not us. You know, we're not on food stamps.
Large percentage of blacks who do join the service do join because of a lack of employment opportunities. So it's an unemployed, a formerly unemployed military anyway. So that's really why there's a lot of blacks. Most of them in percentages in the army though. You see them a lot in the army and the Navy.
Yep, that's true.
So
They don't, because they don't let us into the Air Force,
but,
and well, the Marines is a subsection of the Navy. So
right, absolutely.
even
Yeah.
though we call it the fourth part of the, but it's actually a part of the Navy. It's the part of the Navy that's on land.
Right. Yes. Yes. Part of the Department of the Navy. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't even know that. I'm like, yeah. I said the Navy SEALs and the Marines are like the top military, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can personally tell you that I found out that the Marines when I was there was so racist that it really
Oh, I know.
made my
I had several
decision
friends
for me to
who
leave.
served in the Marines. It's hard. They're hard on
Yeah.
African American men. It's hard to get in the Marines for us to
Yeah.
move up.
And I was proud yeah, I was proud to be there, but there, even when you're outstanding or excellent at what you do, you still get harassed. Black people, it doesn't matter. I personally was a guy who everything I had to do, I was a top GI, and it's always some white. It was always some white boy somewhere. Normally, he was a commissioned officer trying to do something to me, you know. So got to a point where it was either leave or re-enlist and probably get kicked out from breaking someone's jaw.
Yeah,
So
I
I,
have
I
a few
opted.
friends
Uh, uh,
that did what you did, left.
I took option A. Right. I had to take option A and leave. Yeah, absolutely. Because I was just getting tired of that. I was being harassed. Seemed like the more rank I got, the more I got harassed. I'm like, man, I could see if I was someone who incompetent, didn't know what he was talking about, somebody, but no. I was training people. I was training officers. One day, you get a chance, I'll tell you exactly that story. But
Wow.
very, very racist. In fact, it's one of the last bastions of a real concentration of racism in the Marines.
I believe that.
It's one of the last bastions, I think, that, yeah, as far as open. Of course, they don't call you nigger, but they call you everything else but that when I was there.
Oh
So
yeah.
it was time to go. I grabbed a few. I grabbed a few of them up now. I did. I grabbed a few. I was like, man, all my brothers had been in the service before me, well, except one, and they all got out with honorable discharges. I did not want to get out with anything less than honorable discharge. The only thing that kept me off the ones that I grabbed.
I know.
So yeah, but yeah, so but that's why we were talking last time. We were on the Palestinian conflict
Mm-hmm.
last series, and I had said that I would hope people would read Lenin's book on imperialism. That book really gives you not only a good definition because he defined it himself, but it also gives you the history and the nature of it, examples of it. And so this is really what we're seeing, though. We must understand that that's what we're seeing by the West. And really, these people, even though they project themselves as the good guys, they're really not. They're really the bad guys.
I know.
You just put yourself into the position, of the countries that they invade. It's very easy, and it's also good to get a hold of primary sources, some geopolitical primary sources, if you can. It's possible, very possible, from the country in which they are invading, and you'll kind of understand both sides. Yeah, I'm talking
Yep.
to the chat mainly. So, but this latest move is not, it's not surprising at all. It's in the nature of an imperialist country. When you have other countries that are that you have within your international orbit, um, you have even more resources, strategic resources around the globe that you can tap in any moment to carry out any strategic plan that is is agreed to execute. So um,
And that's why,
that's
and guys,
that's
keep
what
in
makes
mind,
it so easy for them.
I was like, guys, keep in mind the things that he is doing. He would be doing these things regardless of the fact that he is going through this impeachment proceedings, um,
Right.
because he has an agenda, and the things that he is doing are just in case he doesn't make it for a second term, because there are promises that he's made when he's been in meetings. And it's like we may think that this man is stupid, but he's not. He's crazy, but he is unfortunately not stupid.
Right.
He plays stupid.
Well, let me just say this. If I can just say this to Miss Pamela, I heard she said, "Mr. Troy, you brave man." Sister, I'm just telling the truth. I'm just being honest about it. And when you look at uh, where our people are now in their history, and you look at what has happened to our people, uh, we owe it to ourselves to tell the truth. And I think it's really time to uh, not be afraid to act in our interest as everyone else acts in their interest, and they have no problem with it the way it impacts us. So, and that's one of the sort of the things that we must do to actually foster the change that we all want. We know none of us want to live in coexist in a racist environment, in a country that constantly, jabs at us and antagonizes us, generation after generation. At some point, you have to uh, come to the conclusion that, okay, I got to do my part. What is my contribution? And then do all you can. Just be honest. Malcolm said, "Do your best work," and so that's really all it is. And you obviously you won't see a lot of people saying these things because they haven't gotten to that point, and they may never get to that point. But those of us who are, we can't be scared to be honest. I mean, we're all marked anyway. It's just a matter of if and when it ever happens. I mean, even if you don't do anything, they're gonna come at us. So I
True.
mean, at least this is worth the while, if you will. This is worth the while. If they're gonna do it anyway, then in fact, that should give you more impetus to be honest and forthright and open about the truth. We're not saying anything. Well, personally, me, I'm not saying anything. I'm not lying on anyone.
Exactly.
And I always say, well, you can verify what I say. That's. But the problem with our people is we don't want to do what's necessary to come up out of this conundrum that we're in. And to be honest with you, it's all solvable. This is not something that we really don't have to. And I'm not insulting anybody when I say this. We don't have to wait till the second coming to be free.
That's the
We
truth.
really don't. So
Because being free
so that
is mental as well as physical. And a
yeah
lot of people who are physically free are mentally in bondage. And that's really what the issue is. We have so many and I was telling somebody this earlier today, is that out of all of the people in the diaspora, those of us who are in the United States, we are the most lost culturally in who we are. And what I mean when I say that is that if you look at the people in the diaspora that are in South America, that are in the Caribbean, even Central America, even those who are in Canada, okay? For whatever reason, everybody else seems to have more of a connection to their history. Maybe who they were enslaved with did not brainwash them as much, or did not rip as much from them, and they were able to retain more. But if you notice, it's just like we are kind of messed up in the fact that we were enslaved here for, we've been, for 400 years we've been here, and we basically been, for 200 of them we were, I say 150 maybe, we were physically enslaved, and then for the last 150 we've still been mentally enslaved, and we've still, even though our bodies are free, we still are operating under that mentality, and we're still looking for, still blaming them for where we are now, when where we are now is, it's not on them, it's on us. And everybody else is waiting for us to get it together. They waiting for us to get it together.
I mean, hence the emphasis for being properly organized. And we're not that. We're still disorganized and disunified in terms of a general direction, even though we don't need a consensus. In terms of the front that I work on, we don't need that. We need at least 20 to 30% of us, and of course the rest, in terms of those who are committed, the rest of us are then hostages to fortune, if you will. But no, there's no need for 100% consensus of any. You never had that anyway. When the world went from slave mercantilism to slavery to feudalism, and then to capitalism, it wasn't everybody at once. Instead of, it was an effective group of people who started the chain of events that led to these particular changes in the economy on the earth. Of course, we're in the last stage of imperialism now, capitalism's highest stage in terms of economic structure is imperialism. So that's where we are right now. So people came along because that was the system that was put in place. We want to put in place a system where obviously our people are free from these things that we've had victims of for far too long, as well as some of the mistakes made. You know what I mean? But it's been obviously the environment, that has perpetuated these problems. So we have to have a transformative society. You can't get that by reform. I think that we ran the gamut of reform. And I think I've explained to this group before.
Yeah,
and you have to start doing things in your interest. Mm-hmm.
That is very true, because the thing is that even though we go through this thing of them having to reassign this thing every, I don't know how many years that they give us the certain rights that we have, even though we're supposedly free in this country, but because
every 10 years
weren't, but because our ancestors were not. Which amendment is? I can't even remember which one it is. because our freedom is was an amendment.
Excuse me.
Us being free in the country was
I think
was a mere amendment, y'all.
oh, I think you talk about about the 14th made citizens.
Yeah.
13th was slavery, 14th was and then 15th was the voting. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually the 14th, but you know, they vote on things like the civil rights modifications every 10 years, and normally it's the last item on the agenda before they go into recess. So if
Yeah.
I think we talked about this before, sis.
Yeah.
If any point they have certain mindsets in Congress, it's over. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
We're in a
like
tenuous situation. I don't know.
yeah, we're free, but we're not free, y'all.
No, you're not free. You don't control policy. You don't control land. The currency doesn't belong to you. You know, we use it, but it doesn't originate from us. The decision makers at all. We don't own, quote unquote, the table. We just sit at it, and we sit at it at the will and whim of those who have control of it. Even if they were purple, it'd be the same thing. And their white skin is incidental. But I do understand on the other side why they want to remain in power. Of course they do. Of course they want to remain in power.
Yeah, because
I think everybody in the chat will want to.
Yeah, I
You're
mean,
in the same position. You don't want to really power loose.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like you have right now you have contradicting beliefs going on. One belief is that within the next 10 to 15 years, they will have wiped out people of color. Okay. But that's little impossible for that to happen if by the year 2050, the majority of the children in the world will be on the continent of Africa. Then that would mean that by the year 2050, the majority of the people in this world are going to be people who have black or brown skin, period. And there's, I think that is the reason why they're trying to be in control, because the minority always wants to control the majority. That is
it's the only way. The way they're doing it is the only way they can do it.
Yep.
Yes. I just said that. Yeah. So, and I mean, I think that's why it's very important for Africa to be free. Much of their power comes from the raw materials extraction from Africa. Most of their capital investments and their profits come from, the finance capital that's there. People have to understand that, we may see these products in a finished, way, but it starts in Africa. It starts, in the soil. We have to cut that off because that's really where their wherewithal comes from. Now, however, trade would be renegotiated to be fair. We're not talking about starving people out, or being isolationists. Not at all. Lest anyone thinks that. The fact of the matter is, it's a lopsided relationship here. And if you go into my video on monetary zones in Africa and the foreign banks, I get into that. I won't do it here, sis. I know we're talking about something else. I don't want to run too far afield, but if anybody's interested, go to my channel and listen to that. It's about 17 minutes and I think 38 seconds. So it won't take all day listening to it. But
those of you who are not subscribed to Nkrumah Ture, please subscribe to his channel. He is going to be going live and stuff and he talks much more in extent a lot of the stuff that we talk about up here on my channel. He goes into a lot more details than than we do on here, because we kind of bounce around on a lot of stuff. But yeah, that's really the key thing on the
That's fine.
is the currency. The currency, it's not there.
Yeah, see, and so yeah, see, and you have to have control of those things and policies to have some sort of power, and that's what we're lacking. And so it would be a base for people of African descent everywhere, whether you repatriate to Africa or not. Of course, it wouldn't be necessary, But I think how what security that you would have with a unified Africa would be immense, and it's hard to imagine because you have nothing to compare it with.
Exactly.
So I mean,
it's never happened.
Right.
Right.
So, or you can keep playing levels of survival in America, because that's really what we're doing. Is just we're just surviving. We don't have any power here. That's why cops can kill black people at will. These little antagonisms, these social antagonisms continue. Why sisters can get socked up in nail shops from foreigners.
Oh, and speaking,
we can go on.
And speaking in regards to that, I watched this on the African diaspora channel, but they were talking about the fact that in all of these things, these issues where we had like racists who were causing problems, that the government is following the people who were protesting against the racism. They're not worried about the KKK or the skinhead.
Nope.
They're watching the people who are protesting against them. What the heck is that? I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense. Why are you worried about the ones who are against racists?
Because that's the danger. Because racism is the actual norm in terms of where their power comes from. That's a necessary condition of the very system that we're in. It actually came after capitalism, but it was more a way to guarantee the monopoly of resources. That's sort of the social construct for it. We're against white supremacy. Most people of color, people of color don't like white supremacy, even if they never admit the fact that it exists. The actions there show you that they know it exists. So they understand that in any way, shape, or form, they can keep our people not organized in terms of our effort to destroy it, or arrive to the point where you actually can destroy that force. All the better for them. They can continue ruling as they will.
Yeah, because exactly.
They're not going to tell you.
Think about it. They were watching Dr. King.
They'll hide behind the laws.
They watched Dr. King. He was a peacemaker, but they were watching what he was doing. They didn't care what the KKK was doing, or that governor who was down there in Alabama, who was just talking about he was going to go to his grave. Segregation was going to be around. That crazy man who got shot, by the way, for his craziness. I'm looking at what she's saying. So press the weed. I'm reading what she's talking about the press weaves. Oh, someone asked you about your opinion about the natural hair law that we have here in California, that started here in California. Basically, I mean, I was talking about that on last night, Miss Mahogany, about the fact that, for years, those of us who are, natural like myself, would have to take our braids out in order to get a job and then put them back in once we got the job. And this law now makes that illegal, that we can now go for jobs and have our braids in, and they can't use that as a premise for not hiring us. But I don't think it was just about braids, I mean, because these younger sisters are not wearing their hair in braids. They're wearing their natural kinky curly hair that, appears to be unkempt to other people, but it's not unkempt. That's just the way it's supposed to look. Yep, that's just the way it's supposed to look. But yeah, that, again, I guess Terry will come back. He fell off. Yeah, but again, that particular law is starting to move across the country. They also have in many states have a different licensing for cosmetologists that do natural hair. So and some states have created specifically, the process for that, because they're not using chemicals in doing natural hair. So they're not making them go through all of those hours of learning how to do chemicals and stuff that they're never going to do. Oh, I sure will. Let me just drop the link again. Yeah, I hate we lost affirmative action too. I don't think that really helps. Not with the schools. And, but I don't think some of these youngsters understand that it's hurting them getting into colleges. But you're seeing that it's hard for the kids to get into schools in their own states, which is crazy. Yeah, they're afraid of our 4C hair. And the thing is that most of us don't have, we've got a mixture of different types of hair. Like I've got some 4C and I've got some, 3C. Hey, Terry.
Hey, sorry, sis.
No problem.
Sorry about that.
I was just, answering their stuff about the hair. Yeah, the hair thing is an interesting thing, but you've got the youngsters. It's not just the girls that are wearing their hair natural. The boys are wearing. A lot of them would like to wear those dreads.
Even that's under from white supremacy.
I know. Making us braid our hair.
So I mean,
we braid our hair for convenience, but they made us braid our hair because they saw our hair as a distraction.
Right. But power, obviously, as you well know, it's power. It said power is in our culture. And Sekou Touré, who was the former president of Guinea from 1958 to 1984, said culture is the sum total of what an African is made up of. And that's the best, without giving all these examples about certain parts of it. The music, the dress, I mean, culture is down to the anatomical features, the texture of your hair, the color of your eyes, that to us, that's culture. And so all that's, we can see, we can correlate that with what has happened to our people. All that's been always under attack, lips, nose, everybody here knows that. I don't have to go over that, but that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, like,
and of course,
I was talking about little Blue Ivory. Blue Ivy, for one thing, because she's
right. I haven't heard that.
Of her parents. I'm like, she's a combination
Right
of a
now,
parent.
that's right. That's Beyonce's daughter, right?
Yeah, and it would. But the thing is that usually when we get the ones who talk negatively about our African features and about our African hair and all of that, it's not people of other races. It's us, and it's because
Right.
that's that European standard has been pushed into so many of us. You
Exactly.
know, we're lost. We are so lost. That's what I'm
And
saying.
and let me just
It's us in America that do this craziness. The colorism,
yeah,
I would say, the colorism thing is not just in the diaspora. It is across the people of
right.
African descent, Africans, all of us. We all have that issue,
Exactly.
and that came into us from the Europeans because they enslaved part of us and they colonized the others.
Now, I mean, the these things are solvable, but the assignment is to find the solutions, which is really what we're supposed to be doing 24 hours a day.
Exactly.
Now, that's obviously not the reality of everyone, understood, but really to the exclusion of most things, we should be trying to get out of that and becoming a independent people. And by when I say independent people, I mean independent from harm, not being powerful enough to harm anyone else. It's not a history of any other race. So, that people can't use that as a might. But of course, we've had no power for so long. It would take people time to get used to it, but they would get used to the new situation whether they liked it or not. I just don't think we were put here to be the footstool of another race.
Nope.
So, and so and so I
Especially,
think the thing is the assignment is
when
to
we were
find
here
solutions.
before them, especially when we were here before them. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, all that's true. Right. All that's true. I always try to emphasize the important thing is who's got the power now and how long they've had it and what they're doing to try to maintain from generation to generation. I can understand their logic from their point of view. They don't want now that they
Got
have it
the
now,
power.
it really doesn't matter how it affected. Yeah, it doesn't matter how it affected to them for the part. I mean, they're not staying up late at night, of course. Uh, they might give a lip service, but I'm not trying to get to anything to me. But we understand just through our view of our history of our experience as a race that they like it just as it is, and they don't care how it's inconveniencing anyone else. That's why we can see this argument for reparations. We can see what has happened. Some of the token things that's occurred in America, just only to do very, very little. Never to just totally eviscerate the problem and totally enfranchise Black people and set them on a course of independence. It's never happened, which should
But
happen if you
here's the
really,
thing
really
with
want to repair something.
reparations and everything,
But it's not
and,
gonna
and
happen.
I know we go back and forth in regards to that.
Well, it doesn't have to be that.
But the thing that we must realize as people in the diaspora is that we push everything off on the Europeans, but in all reality, it was our African brothers and sisters that sold us to them. They sold us to them, you know, and maybe that has something to do with our reluctance to help those on the continent. I don't know if that is in our ancestral DNA too, that resentment for that. But
Well, I think we should have do a live stream on that one day though, because it's a little bit more than that. But I understand your point.
yeah,
It was really a combination of things, but it wasn't just that at all. I hate the fact that people have forwarded that. That's not totally true, but
yeah, and then we probably should
it
get
some
into the nitty gritty of it. because you
because
know
that was really
the
less
continent
of the.
was not totally blameless, unfortunately.
No. But I always say when I used to, because I know you're doing it to help, but some of the people who that I used to debate some folks on campus
Hmm.
that would say it just to be antagonistic, and so I would always tell them that it's not like Africans tap the white man on the shoulder and say, "Hey, come on over here and get these slaves," because they had no idea what they were really doing. It was a situation where the penetration, and I get in this right now, but they needed penetration in the interior of Africa, so they had to obviously set some Africans against the others,
Yep.
and that had a lot to do with it. So it was divide and conquer. But I mean, people try to make it sound like somebody just said, "Hey, come over here. We're just gonna give you these people for nothing." That's not what you're saying. But trust
Nope.
me, people who just you tell it,
I just want people to
I mean,
understand
I've heard
that
ignorant conversations.
that it was a mixture of a lot of things. It's like there were a lot of people who were to
It was
blame. I was like, there was a lot of blame to go around, and then
absolutely
there was a lot of blame to go around. It's like
the fact,
go ahead.
but but well, yeah, you're right. But the fact that they took them too, but they were stolen too. Absolutely, they were stolen as well. But the fact that they took them, and the fact that they built, as we all know, an economy based on that labor.
Yep.
See, people were using that argument to try to deflect off the fact that the labor itself, which gets us into the ADOS argument, obviously, or them and the people who are
Yeah,
holding that
because a
argument
lot of things, what they
get
don't
you into that
understand is
because
they tried some of the stuff over there on the
they don't
continent.
want to hear that.
They tried to do the same things they were doing here over on the continent, and it was not successful
Right.
there. So they had to change their tactics because the original idea was to enslave those of us over here and to also enslave the entire continent. But they couldn't do that because there was
Well,
way too many
colonial
of them.
was kind of another way of doing it.
Yeah,
Right.
they couldn't do it that way.
But colonial,
That's what I'm saying. They had to do
right.
it a different
True.
way.
Not in terms of, right. Not in terms of total chattel, of course, because they were a minority amongst people who would have seen that, but certainly slavery though. It was just
Oh yeah,
slavery in another name, to be honest with you.
it
But
was.
yes, I mean it was still European aggression and oppression
Influence.
of black or African people of African descent. Yeah, and they still they still do. I mean, we're still living in that time, really. Of course, we now know it's neo-colonialism that we've established, but so it's a long, connected, historical picture that we're unfolding here, you and I, in this
Yep.
thing. But again, I always try to go back to, how can we hammer out? Now, I definitely work in an organization that understands what the solutions are, but solutions have to be worldwide as well. I think that when you look at the situation of blacks here, I
Hmm.
think the best that can be done is using that vote as a block and a swing vote because you are a minority group. We are a minority group here, but at the same time, you're going to have think tanks. You're going to have super PACs, political action groups, and so at some point, if we're serious enough, blacks will have to start being power brokers in those particular towns and cities that their numbers are greatest before
See,
because they
that's what
tend to
people don't seem to
reapportion the
yeah, people
congressional.
don't understand is that the way that you work the system within the system is you start with the grassroots and work your way up. Literally.
Right.
You know. I
You can
mean,
actually, yeah. Exactly. And because we already know, based on if we just take everyone who's eligible to vote, your numbers are not going to obviously be a majority, but that strong swing vote that we've done periodically through history of voting as a block can be more powerful as a block, as someone that has their own political party specifically for their interest, like everyone else. Then now you can actually walk in there as power brokers and sort of lay on the table exactly what you either want. If not, fine, we'll go over here. And obviously, I think people are catching on. They're finally understanding it doesn't matter whether it's Republican or Democrat. And I'll tell you my reasons why real fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I think that the agenda against us is varied, and that whether people are raging, card carrying, sheet wearing, Ku Klux Klan neo-Nazi members, or whether
Mm-hmm.
there's some erudite, uh, friendly white person with a suit and tie that likes to shake hands and slap backs, they all understand that they're going to they're going to continue to have specifically white men control power. So the only thing that the Republican and Democrat parties, you can distill this very simply, they really disagree on how that application is going to happen. That's it. They just
That,
disagree on how to rule.
that's
They,
absolutely
Now
true.
they're never going to say that, mind you.
All they care is
They're never
that
going.
the ones who are in power are basically white men over the age of 60.
Right.
That's who's in charge of everything. And they want to stay in charge. They want to stay in
To every
charge.
generation. So,
Yep.
right. So they understand that their disagreement, whether they're quote unquote conservative, quote unquote liberal, or Miller, or whatever it is on the political spectrum, they just differ in how that diffusion of power is going to occur for the white man to control. And people need to understand that if you just listen to them very closely, they tell themselves all the time. They just won't actually say these words, mind you. And I wouldn't expect them to. Oh no. But they tend to give it away. They're not as smart as they think they are. They think they're smarter than everybody and what have you. And that's just not true. We're the ones who are smarter than everybody, but we don't want to practice it.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Seem like we're scared of something as a group. But I mean, that would be the best way to go. I think even if you look at some of the people who are minority groups and how they've moved ahead, we can take pages from them. You can do comparative analysis. In fact, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna assign myself. Maybe not next time, sis, but maybe next month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna come with a comparative analysis in terms of our political strength and power, and in terms of comparing us to the Jews, comparing us to the Hispanics and the Asians, just to see the difference, so we have something to compare to.
That would be
And,
really good,
and I'm sure
because
these groups are okay. I'll do that.
that would be really good because
Absolutely.
um, the thing is that when you look at the quote unquote um political parties that we have in this country, none of them are really looking out for the interests of people of color. Period. Um, their agenda is for the people I mentioned a few minutes ago. White men over the age of 60. And as you become a white man over the age of 60, you become part of that. It's like as you get older, they age you into them, you know?
Right.
I mean, trust me, Barack Obama, that was an aberration. That was an aberration, y'all. They're not trying to let that happen again. They're not trying to let that happen again.
Yeah. Understand the naivety that as a group we've had politically anyway, and that by and large, I've always felt that our people have been fooled with tokenism and uh, um, visibility, meaning people put in places of some visibility to make it look like we're all moving forward as a as a group or as a race. We tend to think and we tend to equate that with progress. Very good for that one person. Very well positioned, success, but that doesn't equate for most people of African descent in this country that was born here. That
Exactly.
doesn't equate. You know what I mean? It's a
I.e.
total
Jay-Z in the
difference.
NFL, y'all. That was good for Jay-Z. That didn't have nothing to
Right.
do
And
with
so they
that.
and really it started at the end of the civil rights movement when they started electing all these black mayors. At one point, I have to take another count. At one time, we had like 500 mayors in the United States. Nothing ever gets done. So it's always another layer to something that becomes problematic for black people. So I think if we're really serious, definitely we need a political party. If you're going to use the vote. Now, as me, I'm revolutionary. I want to overthrow people. So the whole different part of my politics that I don't talk about here. But if you're going to do that and do that strategically, there's just ways that you have to organize yourselves. And I say that super PACs, and of course, you need a political think tank. You need your own party so that you can be power brokers in the areas that we are predominantly numerous in, and do it before they reapportion these districts, because as soon as there's a working majority of black people, they cut and carve it up. They reapportion these congressional districts to disempower these areas, and they do it in the South quite a bit. They do it quite a bit, even against the protests of the people who know it's happening. They do it anyway. So being so diffused in these political parties really makes us even weaker. You know what I mean? You got people here in the Republican or Democratic Party. You need your own party, and then you can deal with them as equals, as co-equals. So
Yeah.
they can at least do that for a little bit more progress in this country, but they won't do it. We're all over the place.
Well, people are under some weird impression that the Black National Caucus speaks for all black people. They do not.
Right. Are you talking about the Congressional Black Caucus in Congress?
The Black Caucus. They don't speak for all of us. They speak for themselves.
Yeah. I had the nerve to think they had some power at first when I was growing up. I'm like, I don't think so. Those people was weak as butter.
Figurehead, y'all.
They have to go along to get along. Yeah. So. Again, it just goes back to people who are no power, but you have a lot of visibility. And that's what we've seen in the last 30, 40 years. Blacks.
Urban
getting
League,
into Congress, getting into
all of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, we can go over that. We can go over how Zionism has taken over many of the civil rights organizations too.
I know.
By the way.
And really how they're at the core of some of them being started.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so, from to the agenda, who's going to give it, and how long they're going to talk, and what they're going to say. This might go back further than 1963, but certainly the March on Washington, They had a lot to do with that. They had a lot to do in terms of dictating who was going to speak, how long, and what they were going to say. I don't
Well,
know if
yeah,
anybody have.
well, yeah, because people don't understand that there were Jewish rabbis and involved in a lot of that stuff.
Right.
And
they gave the they gave him $800,000 as well. So they definitely called a tune. I don't know if you knew that, and people knew that in the chat. Yeah, they got $800,000. The actual March committee, the committee, the big six there, from all those organizations in the 60s when they went to Washington. Yeah. Yep. All this stuff is documented, though. I have to share the
people just don't talk
reference for that.
about the involvement, but I think that would be a wonderful thing to go over, to dig into some of that stuff in February, since that's supposedly Black History Month. Maybe they'd like to know that part of Black history.
Yeah, we can do that. Sure, yeah, we can do that. Especially how Zionists destroyed SNCC. Yeah, those who may not know about it, I can get into that as well. Yeah, there's things that there's a lot of things like that went on, but definitely SNCC, because of its militant, even though it was nonviolent, but the ideology of those who were on the steering committee, the students, were very, very militant and revolutionary. So of course they don't like anything that's going to free you from their domination. So they destroyed SNCC and other organizations too that were around, that were they had, I guess they were important, but obviously there weren't a lot of news reports, and I say this because I've studied it, so I wasn't there. I'm not, but I've definitely studied it, and based on what I've seen, the documented evidence is that they went after all groups that all of them were monitored. Obviously, I think we know that, even the mainstream ones, but those that were more militant, they went in to destroy. Everybody knows about COINTELPRO. I don't know. I'm sure people know about that.
And I know that people.
Yeah, if you want to know.
Yeah, I think we should probably, even though people have talked about what the Black Panther Party was really about, I think we should still talk about it, because I don't want to assume that people know the truth versus the lie.
Right. Yeah. Sure, I have no problem. Now, because I'm doing stuff with Kingston Curls, I have to check with her, because I think in a few days we're going to be doing this well, but not in terms of what you and I are doing here, but over there is some other stuff that she wants to do. And I
this stuff I'm talking about. But this I'm talking about. These are some stuff that we can talk about doing February. I'm just thinking about just some of the things.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
The history, sure. Some of that's she's got some interesting things going on over there. But we're kind of, she and I are kind of going. We're talking about similar things, but we're going in two different directions.
Absolutely, we're going true.
We're going in two different directions. Yep.
I think she'll be back on the 13th. I think the 13th of this month. Yeah, she'll be back. And but absolutely, sis. Yeah, I'm definitely here to talk about that particular aspect of the struggle. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of it, but
watching this crazy person. I'm gonna be watching this man. What's gonna be going on? This week's gonna be, I think, this week coming up. I think it's gonna be interesting. The Congress will be back in session.
Okay. Yeah. It's gonna be. Well, if I give just a little bit more context to that, in terms of the President of the United States, because you got to know their stuff too. he's working under the War Powers Act of 1973, where he has to he doesn't need congressional approval to send troops up to 60 days. However, he has 48 hours to tell Congress of his intention. And so
Yep.
he has to think other than 60 days, he has to get congressional approval to continue without a formal declaration of war. And I think you may know, and maybe some people in the chat may know, that obviously Congress is a sole branch that could declare war formally.
Yep.
So the War Powers Act. So that's why he could. Yeah, he doesn't have to tell the public. Obviously, they'll find out when they put it on the news, like they did. But yeah, he can whatever information they have, and of course interpret it the way they want to justify or give a pretext to that action. He can do that. He can do that as commander in chief, unfortunately. And
I know. But of course, when Barack did things like that, they said he was misusing his power, and crickets when this man does it. Crickets.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, Barack Obama was bombing people to Kingdom Come. He was going around the world stumping mud holes in a lot of people's chests. If memory serves me, I mean, I think he did more than what this guy is doing so far.
They were mad at him for
Barack Obama. He was definitely. Yeah,
they were mad at him.
Left. He's supposed to be a dove, you know. He's supposed to be a dove, but he's. I wouldn't even say he was liberal. I wouldn't, not at all.
He wasn't liberal.
You know, I think
that was a misconception.
A lot of people who. Yes, absolutely. A lot of people thought he would be, or he should be, or he was.
They wanted him to be.
So.
They wanted him to be all of these things. I'm like, look, y'all.
Yeah.
I have to tell us, like black people, this man didn't figure out himself as a black man until he was in his 20s. So how could he be the president for all the black people?
Right.
I just want y'all to think about that.
I said it was a symbolic election. They would never be able to do anything for black people. And I was correct. I said it to my family, my siblings.
But realistically, that's the truth of the matter. This man, it took him. He was in his 20s, still trying to figure himself out. He didn't go by his real name Barack until he finally figured out who the heck he was. Before then, he was Barry.
Right.
Can y'all imagine?
Yeah, I saw that.
Can y'all imagine if we had if our president was Barry Obama?
I thought it was funny. I saw it. I can't remember exactly where I saw it somewhere. It might have been an excerpt of a book that either someone wrote of him or maybe the one he wrote. I think I saw it somewhere in a in a publication. It was hilarious.
Book, but yeah, he called himself that. That's what everybody knew him as, Barry. And he was a smoke. And I keep forgetting that he used to be a smoker because he stopped smoking.
Right.
So when you see all of these
lessons,
yeah. No, but I'm saying I think that he used to smoke cigarettes too, because he doesn't smoke them anymore.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Okay.
But he was a heavy.
Right.
But he used to be a heavy smoker. That was the thing. Yeah, because I think that was one of the things Michelle didn't like. That he smoked so much.
Right. That's crazy. Wow.
I said Leroy Obama. Matt put in there Leroy Obama. He's so silly.
Leroy. I don't think he got elected with that name in front of the other one.
But the thing is that
It's
it
funny
wasn't
though.
until he came into his, and I hate to say into his blackness, that he started calling himself Barack. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the reality of it because you know when he was in college he was Barry. By the time he went to law school he was Barack. Okay. By the time he went to law school at Harvard he was
Yeah.
Barack. You know.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
But he's still
But
part. But you guys, he is
I mean,
still part of bones and skull of the skulls and bones. He's in one of them. He's in one of them
oh,
things.
really?
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's
He's in that. Yeah.
yeah. He's in one of
Yeah.
those societies that every president of the United States has been a member of in modern history. He's also been part of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, because he went to Harvard.
Right. Wow.
Yep.
Well, the interesting thing about Obama is that unless someone is telling falsehoods, he didn't come from a lot of money. Yet he got into Harvard, and well, I think he went to Columbia too, as undergrad. And so it's kind of like, how do you get so far without having the kind of means that most families of politicians have to get them that far? If you notice, all of them have some sort of, means in terms of their families' net worth.
The other side, his mama's side of the family.
So that's interesting.
The white part of the family, because his mother.
Right, but I don't think they had a lot of money though, sis.
No, but she, I think that, because I remember I was watching something. His
could be
mother,
wrong.
No, his mother was an influencer because she was very liberal
Really? Okay.
in politics. Okay. But
No doubt about it.
Yeah, but apparently, she knew people because that's how he got into Columbia, I believe. Because remember, he started.
Oh, okay.
He started.
I don't know much about his mother.
He went to Occidental out here in California first, and he transferred to Columbia. Yeah, he transferred into Columbia, but somebody was telling me that on his ancestry through his mother, he goes back to one of them. He's related to somebody. Yeah, one of them white people.
Right. Oh, really? Well, yeah. Okay. In terms of someone historical, you mean? Someone historical? Okay.
Yeah, her roots. Yeah,
Yeah.
How everybody.
I'll have to look into that.
How all of the presidents, all of our presidents are distantly related. Yeah, well, he's distantly related to somebody on it through his mother.
Wow. Now, it couldn't be somebody who was former president, right? No.
I don't remember who it was.
Somebody who was former?
Oh. I don't remember.
Okay. I'll have to look into that then.
Yeah, but yeah. And I was like, yeah, because it would have to, and I said that makes sense because he was also part of the skull, it's either the Skull and Bones or that other one. It's it's two of those things at Harvard that they all are part of.
Yeah, certainly Skull and Bones are there.
Yep. But he went through all of the stuff that every president, including Kennedy, all of them. I'm telling you, it's like, so even though he is black, he's not. You know what I mean?
Right.
from that perspective. Because he does have that other bloodline in him. People just have to remember
True.
that.
True. Before I got to understand how dirty American politics
There, Latoya put it in the
really
gap. He's
was.
related to the Bush family. There you go.
Oh, okay. Let me go back to the chat.
Through
Oh,
his
really? Okay. Okay. I was
through
gonna look it
mama.
up, but thank you.
That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Wow. So wait a minute. Okay. Now it kind of uh, now I kind of understand, because every time I see Michelle Obama, she hugging and kissing on George Bush. Do you notice that?
Oh yeah, they were really good friends. But yeah,
Oh, good. So, all right.
but
'Cause I'm like,
that's
well,
what I'm
why is she
saying.
on this dude, man? Like she like him.
His mother may not have been a family of means, but it was through part of her lineage links him to one of the other presidents.
Oh.
I knew that's what it was. I just didn't know who it was.
Oh. Every time I see them, well, when they were in the White House, and I believe I saw this on C-SPAN, and George Bush came back for the unveiling of his painting, and they was taking these op photos, and she was hugging all over the dude. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, Barack, get your woman.
Yep.
So okay, now I understand. I'm like, I know everybody knows everybody in Washington in terms of that particular group of people, but
if you go look at,
that was kind of crazy.
I'm sure it's somewhere on YouTube, because they be trying to cover, in all of their conspiracy theories about when he was in office, it's floating around. I mean, this man had to prove he was a United States citizen, so, and that he was actually born
That's
here.
right.
Remember all that craziness?
Yes.
The state of Hawaii had to release his birth records to prove that he was really born in Hawaii. It was just that was so insane.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, they were doing everything they could to I guess anger the man. Well, definitely insulting for sure.
But I mean, it is what it is. He was born in Hawaii.
Yeah.
I'm sure y'all are mad y'all made Hawaii a state, aren't y'all?
Right. Exactly.
I'm sure y'all are mad it was y'all made it a state, because it was already. I say because it was made a state 2 years before he was born. No, a year before he was born, because he was born in 60. Yep. And he was born in 50, and it was made a state in 59, and he was born in 1960. I'm sure they just love that one. Oh, that means he's going to be 60 this year.
Right. I was stationed. Pardon?
No, I said I just thought about it.
I'm sorry.
24 is going to turn 60 this year, you guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Obama.
Yeah.
Let me, and we can get back on Obama. I just when and we do not have to go over this tonight, because I know we're running far here.
Go ahead. What you were saying?
But the next time we do go into our next installment of our series into the Palestinian Zionist conflict, we're going to be going over 1970, 1980. And so whenever you want to do that, sis.
Oh yeah, I think we can do that sometime this week. Isn't that going to cover that? We'll cover the That's going to cover the Munich Olympics too.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I'll even give the pretext to that very group that assaulted those 11 Israeli Olympic athletes in Munich. Yes, there's a backstory to that before that even happened, years before that happened. that I'll get into.
Yeah,
I
but
covered
yeah,
that. So, and
I would say probably like
of
mid
course, I have a reference for that one. Okay, that'll be fine. You know,
yeah, I was thinking
I'm
like
definitely
midweek.
prepared. I've been prepared for a little while with this.
Yep.
Okay, absolutely.
But yeah,
And I'll try to,
I didn't
and you know, say again.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, and so of course, I'm not gonna go over all the battles though, because I
No,
have a
no,
lot of
no.
information as it is, and that would just make it a little too long. But I would probably, I have a reference though that people can go and look at the actual. It's a book. Now, and this book is also on Google Reads and ProQuest. It can be checked out there too. So it's not something that I can say and they can't find nowhere. Of course, they probably can get it hardback, probably on Amazon, but I haven't checked there. I have to check it, but so yeah.
Amazon
So
has
yeah, not
everything.
1970, 1979. Pardon?
I said
Huh?
Amazon has everything.
Yeah. So, but it's some interesting things that's in there because it actually goes into some of these splinter groups that we discussed last time. I think time before that, I was mentioning who they were. Well, here we'll see a lot of them really get into the fray, guerrilla warfare, and many attacks. Whew. Wow,
And
really got tensions got very high.
FYI, Obama is a distant cousin to the Bushes. They're like 11th cousins.
Wow.
They have
I
common
don't know if I'd want to
ancestors.
be related to them.
They have common ancestors on his mother's side. I knew he was related to somebody.
Well, I guess
Yeah, what it
so.
says.
So I
Yeah,
guess that was his ticket in there, huh? Right. So you think they had a lot to do? The Bushes had a lot to do with this? You think their family? You think?
nah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But that would
Yeah.
then entail me that if he's related to the Bushes, that he's also related to George Washington, y'all. George Washington as
Oh,
well.
really? So
They are related to George Washington.
yeah. I
And there
didn't
you
know
have
that. Okay. So there it is, huh? Well.
so but you know what they said that a lot of our of the presidents of this country are all related. They're all related, like distantly related. Crazy, isn't that? Even the
I've
black,
heard that.
even the black president, y'all. Even the black president. Mind blown. That
Yeah.
y'all minds are blown now, huh?
I'm
Even him.
yeah, I've never known that. I never done any
Even
research on that one, so
even him.
that's cool.
Isn't that crazy, y'all?
Yeah.
So you know, y'all have to think about it. That, but trust me, we are just knowing this stuff. But I promise you, they knew all of this stuff. Even if he didn't know this stuff, they knew all of this stuff before that man was ever president. They knew his entire lineage. You know?
Yeah.
They knew it all.
Yeah. So
But yeah, I didn't guess almost midnight
not
here.
surprising.
And I
It
appreciate you
is.
being up here with me tonight, Terry, as always. And
It's always an honor being here with you in the chat, sis.
but
I really
I'm
appreciate
waiting. I'm
you
waiting for
giving
you
me
to
the
do your
opportunity.
live stream. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. When it comes, I'm gonna be
Yeah, I'll have
there.
to work on that. Oh, absolutely. I appreciate
All right.
that. Yeah, and I apologize. Whoever was at the last one waiting for me, I left an apology on my uh, foreign monetary zone video, my latest video concerning that.
Okay. I'm gonna have.
Because
Yeah.
I couldn't even get I, I couldn't get it started. I'm like, okay, well, there it is. So absolutely. No, I appreciate you allowing me up here, sis.
Oh.
It's always good to have a discussion with you in the chat on really
Yeah.
any subject, really, not so much politics and history, but it could be
Oh yeah.
anything, you know.
Yeah. But this one was. I mean,
Uh,
you couldn't have help but talk about it when the food does something. Happy New Year. I mean,
right.
that's how he. That's what he
So we can talk
does
about
to
wine. I
us.
know a lot about wine too. Yeah,
Huh?
yeah, really. Oh, I say, yeah, we can actually talk about wine too. Some
Oh
things
yeah.
about
We'll have
wine
to
that
have that conversation soon.
I've learned over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, wine. Of course, I can give people a crash lesson on cigars. I think you and
Oh
Deke and
yeah.
I had that
Yeah.
discussion.
We probably need to do a
Okay.
new one on that one because we did that one a long time ago.
Yeah. So yeah, there's more to it. Absolutely. So
Yep. I know.
yeah,
I know. We,
you just
we
picked the
didn't even
topic
finish
and
it. Yeah. We didn't even finish it.
no, we did. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, but thank you very much. And I'll go ahead and jump down if you're about to get
Okay.
off.
Yeah.
I can do
I'm just
that
gonna. I'm just gonna go ahead and end
and
it.
let you finish up.
Once you get down. Thank you so much, Terry.
All right. You're welcome.
All right. So, guys, I appreciate you all for coming in tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. We kind of went across a bunch of different things tonight, but I think like maybe one night this week coming up, I think I'm gonna talk. I think I want to have a conversation about hair, our hair. Especially since I just finished redoing mine. But and just talk about just the different ways that we do our hair, including whether we weave it or we press it or we wear wigs or however we do it. Just have a session about loving our beautiful hair or lack thereof, because there are some women who don't have hair, and it's either by choice or it's because of health conditions, but we still have to love our head in that case. But we're gonna get out of here tonight, guys. I thank you guys for coming. I appreciate everybody for coming through and always making these not so random chats go by so fast, y'all. But until tomorrow, because I know it's Sunday for some of y'all, I offer you peace and blessings from the West Side, guys. I will be on for you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody.